good idea. It's created millions of jobs, and it has helped the economies of all three of these nations.
Nafta, after 2 years, helped evidently because...
Now, before I get on with the Nafta Worth Part 2 video, I happened to go to another website and find some stuff that, find exactly where he getting his information from. Here's another website, and he got the exact talking points as he said here.
Numbers stayed above 1 million up until this decade, where it has...
Now, he gets his talking points from a guy named Ross, okay? And it points out, now this is exactly what it says. It says, it points out to me in an email that the unemployment in Ohio in December of 1993, the month before that NAFTA took effect on January 1st, 1994, Ohio's unemployment rate was at 6.5%, says Ross, and it never has been high since. And if we go down, that he also used against me. You remember when he said this?
Unemployment reached 6.5%.
Come to find out, that was on the blogs also. And that was also according to a guy called David. But, you know, I'm not going to knock him on that. But the problem is, when you go to these websites, they don't have updated material, because if you did your research from the U.S. Census Bureau, you would find out that Ohio's unemployment rate in June, now you made this video in July, that Ohio's unemployment rate was at 6.6%. You also quoted this guy information that you found that said that it has never been that high since. Actually, Ohio's unemployment rate as of today is at 6.7%. Found that from the U.S. I'm also going to show you some clips of what NAFTA is also affecting. Here's what the conservative caucus had to say about NAFTA. Let's check out what he had to say about it.
Businesses are so eager to enter the Chinese market that for short-term gains, the American people are going to suffer long-term losses. And you've pointed out that it's impossible to purchase a wide range of top products that are made in the United States. Some of them are almost exclusively made in communist China. What's been going on?
Business, corporate America, business looks at China with its 1.3 billion people not as a market. They look at China as 1.3 billion workers. They can move to China, not worry about the environment, not worry about labor laws, pay pennies an hour wages, and they will move lock, stock, and barrel, move out of the United States, move to China, make the goods that each and every one of us buy every day.
That many of the companies that went to Mexico because of NAFTA are now looking beyond Mexico to China and other places, pursuing cheap labor.
There was a time where we made stuff in Ohio. Now the things that we need, we have to get from China, and all of our factories have moved out. You know, and that's one of the main issues with John McCain. He supported all the free trade agreements and basically is in favor of all of those. Thus, we have lost all of our jobs here and all of our factories, and we're dependent mainly on China and other foreign areas.
Workers, and that's what free trade is all about, and that's why I believe that this nation will continue to prosper when we have free trade agreements consummated between ourselves and our neighbors.
These are the people that are over on Capitol Hill with their lobbyists saying, we need more trade agreements like NAFTA, because they made a ton of money on NAFTA, and now they want to do the same thing, finding even cheaper labor in Guatemala, Chile, or wherever in South America. For American corporations to move out of America, go across the Rio Grande and build a factory, exploit the Mexican workers, and then ship back in here to sell their products. That wasn't what we were told. We were told they are dying to buy our refrigerators. They're dying to buy our cars. They want the American dream. They want our televisions. None of that happened.
We had a CEO of a company come in, make all kinds of promises, and within 2 years, most of those workers are gone today. The company got everything they wanted from the Congress, and in fact, the workers got the shaft.
The race to the bottom in countries where the American corporations are going in and fighting, not for the future, but fighting for this quarter, so that their profit statements look good, so their numbers on Wall Street go up, so that they personally make a lot of money.
The people who are proposing these trade agreements could care less about the average American, could care less about poor people in the developing world. They're in it for one thing and one thing alone, that is to increase the profits of the company.
And been replaced with low-paying jobs without benefits. There was a time where we made stuff in Ohio.
But it's not like this overwhelming, dire situation and everybody's just crippling to death.
The people who have no health benefits, that are struggling every day to try and get by.
Well, what you're going to see from President Bush and from the corporate community, which dominates Capitol Hill today, a big push to pass FTAA, which will basically increase the race to the bottom.
It's obvious that many of the companies that went to Mexico because of NAFTA are now looking basis pursuing cheap labor.
And the question is, how much longer can our country take this outpouring of jobs in Mexico and China before the bottom falls out? It seemed to me as a child that anything was possible. Anything. Now that's the American dream. And the American dream is slipping away from us right now as we speak.
NAFTA, after 2 years, helped evidently because jobs, manufacturing-wise, were up almost 100,000.
President Bush took office in 2001. 2.7 million manufacturing jobs in America have disappeared, and more are being lost. If for no other reason than national security, we ought to be worried about the restoration, let alone the preservation, of our manufacturing base. We don't have a steel industry anymore. There are many things we don't have that we need to be capable of self-defense in times of conflict when our homeland is really at risk. In my opinion, the war in Iraq is an expensive distraction, unrelated to the proximate vital interests of the United States of America. But the time will come when our homeland and our population are in fact at risk, and our ability to defend ourselves economically and militarily will be much diminished as a result of our trade policies, our foreign policies, our participation in the World Trade Organization, the NAFTA agreement, and so forth.
I know NAFTA was a good idea. It's created millions of jobs, and it has helped the economies of all three of these nations.
NAFTA, after 2 years, helped evidently because jobs, manufacturing-wise, were up.
President Bush took office in 2001. 2.7 million manufacturing jobs in America have disappeared.
When you analyze it in an objective way, it's beneficial to America. It helps create jobs.
I know NAFTA was a good idea. It's created me. Go to Detroit and see the thousands of trucks lined up every day, or go to our southern border.
If we don't fix the gaping holes in our trade policy and quit exporting all our manufacturing jobs offshore, no one who works for a salary or a wage is safe in this country. If we don't level the playing field so that our trading partners have to comply with the same environmental and safety and health, child labor laws, and the other things that are just basic human rights and basic fairness, if they don't have to adhere to those same standards, the American manufacturing can't compete. Our job bases are eroded. Whether you work in the public sector, private sector, whether you work in an industrial job or you're in a trades job someplace, all those things are impacted by the lack of a manufacturing base